After seeing this week's assignment, I was excited to get started. I have had the opportunity to visit Washington, D.C., and specifically the Lincoln Memorial, where they have marked the exact spot where Dr. King stood as he gave his I Have a Dream speech. When I think of his speech that he gave on that day in August 1963, certainly the words were powerful, but the context of the stage that they were delivered from and the tens of thousands in attendance helped to ensure that it would have a lasting place in history. As I watched the speech, I was impressed by not only the power of Dr. King's words, but also that of his voice. As he shared the history of African Americans, his tone was matter of fact and deliberate. But as his speech continued and he began to make the case for the inequalities that still existed in this country, such as police brutality, travel restrictions, economic hardship, and voting rights, his voice grew stronger and demanded your attention. Of course, I already knew what came next, but in watching the speech for this assignment, I was anticipating the answer to the problems Dr. King spelled out. As Dr. King began to share his famous I Have a Dream, his voice downshifted and changed to an almost soothing tone that drew me into the future that he envisioned, but then quickly built up again to an emotional high that peaked as he began to share the words, My country 'tis of thee. As Dr. King finished with, free at last, thank God Almighty we are free at last, his voice left me with the impression that he had given everything that he had to the speech in the same way an athlete leaves it all on the field. I feel that without question the use of emphasis of the phrase, I have a dream, almost wakes up the listener to make sure that they don't miss the main point. It almost reminds me of sitting in church, where sometimes it is easy to daydream, but the minister will use a key phrase and raise their tone to wake people up. I also thought that Dr. King's use of the word today further reinforced that this dream was not something far-fetched, but something that he could see clearly as he gave the speech that day. Dr. King's repeated use of the words, let freedom ring, also helped to emphasize that this freedom he was talking about was for everyone in our country. I really enjoyed reviewing Dr. King's speech for this assignment, and I feel like I have learned a lot.